Okay, so this video is going to be on the Paris Climate Agreement, and more importantly, why the US shouldn't leave it. So, on June 1st, 2017, Donald Trump announced that the US would be leaving the Paris Climate Agreement on climate change mitigation. This is bad. Let's go on a little journey to find out why. So, let's start with some science and a super basic rundown of climate change. Due to an increase of carbon dioxide in the air, heat is being trapped in our atmosphere. This is called the greenhouse effect, and it's bad. And then next to it is a chart that depicts the atmospheric CO2 in the past 400,000 years based on the comparison of atmospheric samples contained in ice cores and more recently collected data from our own atmosphere. As you can see, yeah, the Earth does go through cycles of high and low carbon naturally. That is true, but in the past 50 years alone, CO2 has skyrocketed an unprecedented amount. This is ridiculous, you guys. I know some of you still aren't convinced, so here is some more proof that this is actually happening with stuff you can actually see. The global temperature is rising. The oceans are warming. Ice sheets are shrinking, glaciers are retreating, there's decreased snow cover, the sea level is rising, the Arctic sea ice is declining, there's been a ton of extreme events like all the hurricanes and forest fires that we've had this year, and ocean acidification. These are all bad things and they kill people and animals, especially those in developing countries. So you might still be thinking, okay, but is this really bad though? Should it be one of our priorities and spend taxpayer money on? I'm going to say, yeah, this is bad, guys. Think of all the natural disasters we've had this year. Look at that starving polar bear. Climate change. What really sucks is that third world countries like in the Caribbean, as shown on the picture on the right, who aren't even the ones screwing up the atmosphere, are the ones who get the worst of it. I could go over tons of sources and facts and statistics because I know there's a lot of stubborn people who still don't believe humans are causing this, but we don't have time. So Google is free for now, so knock yourselves out. Now that we're all on the same page, let's get on to the Paris Climate Agreement. The Paris Climate Agreement is an international agreement signed by the UN on April 22, 2016 that was designed to unite the leading nations in carbon dioxide emission in their response to climate change. Their long-term goal is to keep the average warming of the Earth under 2 degrees Celsius, aiming for about 1.5 degrees. The idea is that we need a united front against climate change, or we're not going to make a difference. And the countries of most innocence are going to be paying the price. As you can see on this graph, which depicts the CO2 emission in all the countries, even if the two leading, China and the US, agree to limit their CO2 emission, it wouldn't be enough. We need everybody to help us win this fight. A lot of people think that the US shouldn't be part of the Paris Agreement for a few different reasons. Number one is usually cost. They think it was cost way too much taxpayer money. But if we keep going on this track without any effort, soon enough the entire planet will be dead and there won't be a livable Earth to spend your precious safe tax money on. So pick your battles. Another argument is that pulling out gives the US an edge on energy competitiveness because we'll be the main country producing carbon-based fuel. Putting aside the fact that maybe people's lives should be put above capitalism and priorities, green energy is also a huge growing market and it's renewable, doesn't melt the ice caps, or give people asthma, Greg. Anyway, another argument is that it's ineffective. I'm not an expert, but I'm pretty sure that sitting around and putting more carbon dioxide in the air isn't going to help either. Is it a perfect plan? No. Maybe if Trump had withdrawn with an alternative effective plan in mind, we wouldn't be having this debate. But he didn't, so we are. The US was recently on track with their goals set in the Paris Agreement. And then Trump withdrew. There are some reasons why this is bad. For one, climate change, still bad, guys. Still bad. Would you like to see some more pictures of sad polar bears, or droughts, or fires? There's no shortage of those. Climate change is very real and affects everyone. The fact that this isn't a priority in the White House right now is cause for concern. The only way the Paris Agreement could work is with a united front. The US is a large global presence and one of the leads in carbon dioxide emission. Without us, the plan isn't as effective. This is also bad. Look at the rest of the world. Nearly everyone else and all major powers have agreed to the Paris Climate Agreement plan. The US contributed to 21% of greenhouse gas reduction in the original plan, and then we dropped out. Really, guys, this is a team effort, and Trump's America First policy, which is creepily nationalistic, is going to be our downfall. And for our friends who are concerned about the US's economic advancement by focusing on carbon-based energy, yeah, we're going to get left behind. The Paris Climate Agreement was more than just a climate policy, it was a trade agreement. All the other major powers of the world are focusing on a decarbonized economy. We're going to be missing out and taking the lead in this great economic opportunity. Here's a fabulous quote from the Scientific America. The U.S. announcement shows that it will be doing its best to turn back the clock, while the rest of the world accelerates into the future. Coal is the past, renewable energy is the future. So congratulations, America. You played yourself. Luckily, not everyone in this country is a Trump, and some listen to science. Although Trump has made his decision, several state and city governments are making plans to address this climate change issue, moving forward without presidential leadership. Under 2 Coalition, led by California, has commitments to reduce emissions by 80% across 165 different jurisdictions, which includes nearly 1/3 of global GDP. The people realize that this is important, and the train to a greener earth has left the station with or without our president. Here are some facts. 1. The Paris Agreement is voluntary, so we wouldn't be forced to do anything the U.S. didn't want to do. We can always back out, make our own policies. 2. Trump is skeptical of climate change. See this famous tweet. The concept of global warming was created by and for the Chinese in order to make U.S. manufacturing non-competitive. Yikes. Number 3. 7 out of 10 Americans support remaining in the agreement. This cuts across parties, Republicans, Democrats, Independents alike. The majority of them agree with this agreement. 4. The global clean market will total over $60 trillion in the next 25 years. It is a growing market, and we need to get a jump on that. 5. 2.5 million work in clean energy, and this number is only increasing. 6. Insurance companies are advocating to address climate change because of climate change increases unnecessary risk for people and their property. 7. Many faith-based organizations also support the Paris Agreement. 8. Due to Article 28 of the Paris Agreement, the earliest exit date is November 4th, 2020. 9. Coal exports are dropping. It's a dying industry, people. We're running out of dinosaurs. 10. There was a 54% increase in people affected by climate disasters from 2009 to 2015, and this has only grown. So in conclusion, yeah, the Earth sucks a lot, but it's our duty not to leave future generations, if we make it there, a crappy and unfixable mess. Let's start by leaving them just a crappy, slightly more fixable mess. Space travel isn't advanced enough to just run away, so unless anyone has that technology up their sleeve or we get more funding there, we're stuck on Earth. So for the sake of humanity and the future of the Earth, the U.S. should rejoin the Paris Climate Agreement. Here's all the websites I use because I'm not smart enough to come up with any of this on my own. Alright, until next time, I'm out.